What's up, guys? We're walking out here on the Jax Beach Pier to check out the water. Got south winds right now, probably southeast, probably 10 to 15. We got let's see which way this thing's pointed. Should be able to tell real easy. Yep, pretty much due south. It's supposed to blow all night, and as the front approaches, it's supposed to pick up even stronger, 25 miles an hour. So water looks clean right now, but that could change with the winds coming. And then I saw tomorrow, as the front passes through, we'll have west-northwest winds. And for Sunday, north-northeast winds, but light. So if the water doesn't get too dirty overnight with this south wind, water has a chance to really clean up again pretty nicely. That water looks good. I can tell you, after that last wind event we had, was it last week, a lot of sand has been moved on this beach, especially under the pier. I don't know if you can, where the barnacles stop going towards the sand, that used to be where the sand was. So now there's probably about 3 foot of exposed piling below the barnacles. A week ago, those barnacles were the sand level, so quite a bit of sand has been moved in this area. You can see it over here as well. See where the shell stops and then just gets dark. That was all under the sand last week. Water's running about 57 to 58 degrees up this way, but the whiting are still biting. Fished earlier, had about 25 nice ones. There are a lot of small fish mixed in, but there's definitely enough to get a good dinner together, guys. Yes, it is, Fish Slayer. And the crazy thing is, we'll get another wind and it could fill all of that sand right back in. I'll tell you, if this was in about April, these little holes like this at high tide, oh my gosh, it'd be full of speckled trout. And you come back over here, these little cuts like this. High tide is where you'd want to fish. Fresh shrimp, and I'm soaking them in Diet Pepsi. And when I can find ghost shrimp, I'm using those because the whiting can't resist. I'm breaking the ghost shrimp into small pieces because if you put a big one on, you're going through way too many at a time. They'll literally hit just a fraction of that ghost shrimp. Little hole right there, guys, but not much. On high tide, you could fish it and probably catch a few whiting. The beach here in the pier area, north and south, for quite a while is just flat. Further south, there's a few more cuts, but doesn't really change until you get into South Jax Beach and in the Ponte Vedra Boulevard area, and then there is a steep drop. It really changes down that way. Chris, no, you do not. The ghost shrimp do not need anything. Trust me. When I'm using ghost shrimp, I'm just using a straight rig, no beads, nothing. Just a long leader and a hook and my weight. And the Lenny, the Diet Pepsi, we've been using it, man, since I was a kid, and that was a while ago. On the old pier, and we caught the whiting, and it only really works in the cold weather. What it does is it softens the shrimp, and what my theory is, with the cold water, the scent maybe doesn't travel as well, doesn't break down as well, so you add that Diet Pepsi to it, it helps get that scent out a lot better. Now there's a lot of people that don't believe it works, but the few people who've started using it after I told them, they've been filling their coolers, so it doesn't hurt to try, right? Flea flicker, yes, I found some looking south down in Ponte Vedra, but I can't even use my sand flea rake. I'm having to use my shovel. They're right on the edge at the low tide, and I'm having to dig down like 6 to 10 inches. So it's a lot of work. And honestly, up here, they haven't really been touching the sand fleas for me, so I haven't even tried to get them. And I don't think these kids are from here. They're going out into this water with no wetsuits or anything. No way, Jose. When I was catching bait the other day, just being in it for 30 minutes, my feet were frozen. Fish layer, what are you using the rock shrimp for? Whiting or sheephead? Flea flicker, if you're fishing, from what I heard, New Smyrna Beach is where the pompano are at right now in numbers, and they're using sand fleas and crab knuckles. And if you have ghost shrimp, bring them. I mean, I haven't met a pompano yet that's turned the ghost shrimp down. In fact, between yesterday and today, I probably caught 12 pompano up here in Jax Beach. Unfortunately, not a single one of them was a keep. They're all like 7-8 inches. Now, last week I got a really nice one up on the pier, but that was the only one with a bunch of whiting. There's a little run out right here. And of course the kids, the runouts are like an attractant for people who don't know when they're looking at the water. That water's all rushing out, and there's no lifeguards on duty, so hopefully they don't go much further. Yeah, the Blanche fleas should work, but I do know the crab knuckle works well too, so that's definitely worth trying. I know up here this fall when we were getting our big run of them, crab knuckle was a good bait. And if you look out, when you put the crab knuckle on the hook, honestly, it looks like a piece of ghost shrimp, so maybe that's why they like them so much. I wish there were still fleas up here. Wherever the fleas are, there's going to be fish normally. Let's check out the water, how it still looks. It's starting to get a little sandy. See the run out, all that sand stirred up. Oh, Chris, it's I think of like 2 years ago, we were doing a live video from the beach, and the whole beach, hardly no one on it, and the family set up right at the run out, and their 5-year-old ran straight out to the run out, and so I had to stop filming and go tell them, and they moved. I mean, there was no lifeguards on duty or anything. That kid would have been gone. Holy, yeah. The pompano are definitely down there in Melbourne. Yeah, fish layer. There ain't been no reds up here at the pier, but I know there was a few caught up at Talbot within the last 2 weeks. Little Talbot. Yes, Crankmaster. There's been quite a few reds. Well, you asked about trout. I don't know about trout, but I know the reds have been in the creeks pretty thick. They like to get that warm mud from the low tide. Bad thing is, if you see next week what's coming, it looks to be much colder. I think I saw Wednesday a high of 44, 45. Man, that is not good. That's gonna really drop that water. Hopefully it doesn't last long. Let me turn it around. Yeah, I still got my Jag gear on, even though it was a rough way to end the season. But when you don't got much other clothes to wear besides gaiters and Jags, you got to wear them no matter what. But yeah, you know how it is. January, I was looking through some of the old pier log books that I have from the old Jax Pier when I fished up there. When they closed, I was able to get all of those. In like 1993, we had like 54-degree water in January and February. And even into April, it was like 59. But what was interesting is even though it was 59 in the log book, there were flounder and pompano starting to be caught. And so I looked to see what the water temperature was. See you later, man. Just south of Jax Beach. And it was like 72. So I guess my theory is if it warms up and the warm water is anywhere near this area, those fish, obviously not all of them are going to swim into that cold water, but they're still going to start pushing north, sort of like the same thing in the fall run. That water drops fast and they head south, and nothing really stops them, you know. Fish layer, yeah, the sheep, even the sheephead, I know there's still some being caught, but boy, compared to 3 weeks ago, I mean, it was like gangbusters. They were hitting everything, and now that that water's dropped, they're definitely becoming more picky. They're really focusing more now on the mussels and oysters, which they always seem to do when it gets cold. I know up here last January on the pier, I caught almost all of mine on mussels. You could put a fiddler crab down and they just looked at it. They didn't want anything to do with it. I'm watching now. I ain't seen a fish come up out here, so who knows. But I guess that's the report. We got some rain coming in tonight and then clearing out. It looks like rain again on Monday and another strong front. So fish tomorrow and Sunday, guys. Sunday looks to be the best day out of the two with the winds. There should be whiting. Just bring plenty of bait because there are a lot of small ones mixed in, so you got to sort of pick through them to get a nice little. Oh, these kids. All right, they got him out. He was going out further, but they started yelling at him. It's a little too high to jump from up here to go save somebody right now. Hey, yeah, Space Coast. Yeah, next week, well, at least down where you're at, man, the water ain't going to be 55. I imagine after this next cold front up here, it's going to drop 3 or 4 degrees. Palms, well, the whiting were biting earlier, and yesterday did pretty well on them. But right now I'm watching. There's only, well, let me turn around. You want to know if the bite's good at the pier? Well, all right, 1, 2. There's less than 10 people out here. So you know, if anybody's familiar with pier fishing, when the fish are on, word gets out fast, and this place fills up fast, and it can be tangled up city, especially when the pompanos show up. Oh yeah, Space Coast, that's 66 degrees is excellent. I wish it was 66 here right now because the sheephead, I was killing the sheephead up here on the pier when it was around 65, 66. Now that it's dropped down into the 57, 58 degree range, boy, it is slim pickings. And even on the clear days, we were seeing them on the pilings, but now with the colder temps, we haven't seen any on the pilings. So they're just down on the bottom chilling, waiting for it to warm up. Hey, it could be worse. I saw the Kansas City playoff game. The high is going to be 0 degrees with a -30 wind chill. Then up in Buffalo, they're talking about what, massive amounts of snow, and they're issuing a weather advisory and 65-mile gusts. No thanks. That's why I live in Florida. I will pass on all of that. And they're back out in it. We should do videos on beach safety, especially for kids. If you have kids, you never let them go in the water while you're all the way up in the dunes. Because the thing is, as you know how fast those runouts can pull someone out, you're not running from all the way up there and going to save them in time. I don't know. It should be, I think if you live in Florida, you should have to take a class when you have kids over water safety. Because, I mean, not everybody that's in Florida is from Florida. They don't understand the dangers of the water. I think this past year, we had several drownings up here in this area that got caught in runouts. You know, they don't take much. I remember back in the day, right where the lifeguard, yeah, right in there, I was fishing on the beach down there, and there's a family in from Virginia, and they were literally in a waist deep. This is the day before Thanksgiving, a waist deep slough. Next thing you know, I hear a bunch of screaming, and they had to get the lifeguards out here. They had the Coast Guard, and these guys here. The Coast Guard showed up, and unfortunately, an hour later, he basically washed back up where they had saw him go out. He never moved, but he had drowned. Hey, that was weird. We just got a blast of warm air. It was pretty cold now. A gust of warm air. That front's got to be getting closer. We've got a warm front and a cold front that are combining. But anyways, yeah, let me show y'all. It's starting to get sandier. Earlier, before the south wind really kicked in, it was real light east-southeast, and the water was gorgeous. You're welcome, William. Chris, I agree, because look, here we go again. But the thing is, you can't blame the kids. Most of the time they don't know what they're looking at. But you know, us fishermen, we learn the beach, and we can pick up the runouts right away and know, hey, I want to fish right there. Where you want to fish isn't where you want to swim, because where you catching those fish is also a danger zone for swimmers. Now, surfers are smart. They use those runouts. All they got to do is jump on the board, and the runout will take them out how far they need to go most of the time. I haven't seen a single fish come up. All right, guys, I'm going to get going. I hope you all have a great weekend. Hopefully I don't have any bad news to report. I'll keep an eye on these kids in case I got to call the rescue. They always have someone on duty, but hopefully that doesn't come to that. Y'all get out there and catch some fish. Let me know how y'all do. We'll catch y'all later. Yeah, Space Coast, man, dirty water is so disappointing, because you know you can still catch a few pompano most of the time, but man, when it's dirty, it's going to start the show. If y'all haven't ever had to deal with these guys, listen, there's not so much on the beach, but on the pier, you cannot put a single piece of bait anywhere. You can't put it under the rail. They'll go walking along the ground looking under the rail for the bait. The guy the other day, he had a bag. He set it down, went to the bathroom, and when he came back, he said, oh man, he had a sandwich and a bag of chips. Those birds, they ate every bit of it. There was nothing left. He was only gone about 10 minutes, he said. They know. They are worse than seagulls, in my opinion. Seagulls don't go in your stuff. If you have a tackle bag, they'll go in your tackle bag to look. I mean, they are constantly watching. Up north where I catch the ghost shrimp, there's one seagull. I've given him a few ghost shrimp, so now I'm pretty sure it's the same one. He has a little black spot on his wing that none of the other birds I've seen there have. Every time I show up to get ghost shrimp, man, he's right behind me walking along. So these birds, they're pretty smart. Except for the pelicans, they always get hooked up here. Oh well. Enough of my rambling. I'm gonna get going. You have a great weekend.